hit one standard, but the reality is you're hitting several. This was summarization. They not only had to match the title of the article with the article, main idea, but it was also then once you've matched them, is this a fact or is this an opinion? So they're hitting, one center, 10 minutes, skill after skill after skill at the same time.
And repetition, that's the key. The time that kids spend on skill really makes a difference. Figurative language, we have flown with figurative language. Our kids can tell you what a metaphor is and a personification. Any of it. They can even tell you what an idiom is. It is unbelievable. We have a student who was in and out of jail a lot and just had a lot of problems in school this year. I co-taught with a 7th grade teacher this year too. He was in there. It was so impressive. We had somebody observing us and we asked for the definition of a metaphor. He raised his hand. He said, a metaphor is this, a personification is this, and listed all of the definitions of all the different types of figurative language. And we just were like, oh, we didn't even know how to respond to it. We were like, wow, fantastic job. But, we try and match them with little pictures, things like that, to make it interesting. And we use a lot of color to try and, simulate the right side of the brain. But figurative language, really.
This is an example of our inferencing, one of the riddles, like we were talking about, the kids like so much. These are, we try not to do them too much because not only do the kids love them, but they also frustrate the heck out of them sometimes. But I will say they are the fastest to make. You're typing 10 sentences real quickly, printing them out, getting it done. Okay?
Yeah. We do other things with inferencing too, but their favorite are riddles.
Does anybody know what this is, by the way?
Oh, here, let me go back.
I heard it carpet.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, same workbook that I was talking about the first time. This was point of view. Again, it was read an article, answer a question ABCD, answer a question ABCD. The kids could have done it in 2 seconds, but I was able to take 15 of them and make it a center, rather than 15 worksheets.
Summarization.
Again, this one was the articles were in one color, the answers were in another color, just to kind of help them get organized.
Main idea. This is actually one of my least favorite that we have for main idea, and it's a very old one. We created a long time ago, and you'll find that you kind of phase out the ones you don't like and implement things that.
This was basically putting together an outline.
Yes,
they read the article together as a group, and then they had to outline based on the pieces, just put them into the right place.
Character. Now this is actually one. The 7th graders, I teamed with a 7th grade teacher this year, which, the 7th grade group started to do this year, and their scores really went up. This is a characterization center based on the book The Outsiders, and basically just a character description, their name, and their picture. We even have several characterization centers for the outsider, but sometimes we put them in, categorize them, are they a major or a minor character? So the students also, we just build on that basic skill.
Use the internet, get those pictures, and these numbers down here, and this took us years to figure out. It was a cheat code for us to grade it. Once we figured that out, and we started with true, false, we were like, what, if we coded them, and if it ends in a letter, it's true. If it ends in a number, it's false. The kids never figure it out. And as you stand there and grade it,
somebody will.
I can honestly tell you, I've never had a kid figure it out.
I've had a couple figure it out.
Like if we were doing true, false, I would put like a long, drawn-out number, letter code on the piece. But if it ended in a letter, I knew that that was true. If I ended it in a number, I knew that was false. So I could walk up to the board and go, all right, wrong, wrong, done. And they were like, and then you just say, oh my gosh, I've read this book so many times. I can practically do this. And they were like, oh, okay. One time I used all 01, 01, and if I ended on an even or an odd, and I would tell the kids, it's a binary code. It's so that I can find it on the computer. They were like, oh okay.
And this is also an outsider. And basically, we took different places in the story, and we put, things that happened, and they had to say, what setting that event occurred in. So they just have to manipulate it. And then, this is one of my favorite centers.
This is when we were teaching plot line, and we took a story that they had read in the past. A story that they had read in the past was Drum Away, the story we're reading right now, and then the Three Little Pigs, a story they should be familiar with, and they had to plot those events on Freytag's pyramid. And it gave them a real visual of like, do you see how everything is on the rising action? You know, it was a real visual for them. Like you say it over and over. Here's where all your events are, and then it ends very quickly. And they were like, wow, now that it's, you know, now that I actually take pieces, there's a visual for me to say, oh, I see what you've been talking about.
And the funny thing about this center is they breeze through Telltale Heart and the Drummer Boy at Shiloh, and then when they get to the Three Little Pigs, they had such a difficult time with it. Three Little Pigs is the hardest story on here to plot on the pyramid. Okay, next what we have is just a little video. We can talk about centers forever. Unless you see the kids doing them, you really can't understand, you know, how they work and what the dynamic is.
I would say it's like baseball. I can explain baseball to you and explain baseball, but until you sit down and watch a game, it doesn't make sense to you. So this is a short video of kids actually in that.
Thank you. Did everybody hear?
Here are about 60 characterization cards. You're going to put them into categories, and then when I come around to grade it, you're going to tell me who that character is. So there are no character cards to go off of. You're going to have to bring all the
students work together. Typically, they have to compare what they know with each other to kind of find the answers. And so one of the most effective things about centers is that students, instead of just taking notes and sitting in their seats and not being engaged, they learn the way that they're used to in real life, you know, by sharing what they know with each other, you know, comparing notes. And it usually generates more interest in learning the material than simply listening to what the teacher has to say. They remember it much better.
You guys understand how the pyramid works? There's 3 stories up here, okay? They're color-coded. We just kind of put them all in the middle, and you have your pyramid. And all you have to do is match them up according to where they actually go. There's only going to be 1 climax per story this time, okay? So if you have Telltale Heart, which is the orange tags, you don't want to have 2 orange tags up here for climax. There's only 1. However, you can have several parts for your rising action and your falling action. Make sure you read them carefully. The green tag, there are 3 little pigs. That one's going to be especially challenging, so you have to take your time. You're going to have multiple strips on the rising action.
Just the rising action?
It might be easier if you find a climax and work this up. The rising action.
Should be following.
Text organization. What we have here, this is going to be the most challenging center. As we know, it has about 40-some pieces, and it is the actual cartoon of Telltale Heart, and you're just going to put the events in order in which they occur.
That was the most graphic novel I found.
Mr. Olson, 20 Sammer for...
table together, and when they were done, they would get out the next center. And they
Topic is the
they
beetle,
weren't-
although the skills
moving around.
run the gamut. The first thing you're going to do is